Hey everybody, Matt Wright here in the Raleigh airport again. Let me know if you can hear me well. I don't know if you can hear me well. It's always kind of weird just like walking around in public doing one of these things, but here we are. I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts today. It says test, don't guess, because so many people get into advertising and they go, oh, does this work? It's like, well, I don't know, test it, right? Instead of just guessing. You never know if anything's going to work until you test it. And you got to get... there's best practice. We know to put a headline here, make this button green, but it doesn't make sure that things are going to work. So, anyways, today's topic is, what does launch really mean? Should you launch? How do you do it? All of these kinds of things. So, we're going to get into that, but first, if you're someone who wants help getting more people to buy your stuff online, your high-ticket stuff, that is, you can always set up a call with me. I like getting to know people on the other side of the screen who are on my email list, etc., etc. You can go to mattwrightcall.com and free call can help you out, and I'll see you there. All right, so let's get into talking about launches. So a launch is when you're coming out with a new product, you build market pressure before you actually give people access or the option to buy it. And then when you do finally allow people to buy it, a lot of people buy it all at once and you get a big payday. So it's a really great thing. It's kind of like people who've done big launches are like Jeff Walker, who did Jeff Walker, John Reese, Frank Kern. Those are like the big kings of it. And I've studied a lot of their stuff, and from what I've seen, it's a lot of work to do that kind of thing. So I'm going to share with you kind of the new way, or the hybrid way that I handle things with my own clients. But first, let's go over kind of like just some, basic launch stuff. Let's talk about creating market pressure, which is, if you're not a very talented marketer, or you're not a particularly skilled copywriter, storyteller, that kind of thing, creating market pressure can be difficult. It can be done with stories, certain sequencing, etc., etc., but it's just not really necessary anymore. And the reason it's not necessary anymore is because the targeting that we actually have on social media is so good, and how that new kind of targeting we use is actually based on people just engaging with our stuff, watching our content. And all you gotta do is hop on Facebook Live like this. It doesn't have to be all super fancy and produced. Let me get out of the sun. It doesn't have to be all super fancy and produced. All you gotta do is do this, help people out, they watch your stuff, they like you, and when they do that, it says to you as a marketer, as a business owner, that they are qualified to see the next level of your stuff, which is like an offer. So, as always, if you want someone who wants help with that kind of thing, you've tried launches before, it hasn't worked, you can always go to mattwrightcall.com, set up a free call with me. I'll help you out, help you figure out the next best steps for you to take. A lot of people who work with me come to me after they've already, worked with gurus and haven't gotten results. And a lot of times it's because the gurus have what I call a magic process, which is, a one-trick pony. You come in, you do the thing, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, and if it doesn't work, they don't know how to help you. And what we do is custom for your business. And what you do, we create sales processes that are congruent to that feel good to you and to your audience base. So back into launches. So some things that we can do to create market pressure, and I'll get into a little bit more of the strategy here after this, is telling stories. And I was reading a book recently called Persuasion Hitman by Ian Stanley, who's a world-class copywriter. He's excellent. And he talked about that one of his highest converting emails, one of his top click-through, top open rates and top reply rates, which is huge because a lot of people don't reply to emails. They might open them. But he gets like a 40% open rate, I think, and lots of people send replies. And I'm actually one of those people who read it and sent a reply. It's a story about his dog, which has nothing to do with copywriting. And he doesn't even make an offer in the email. But because he shared that story, that vulnerability, it creates a bond with his audience. And that's one of the first things you want to do, whenever you're starting a brand, or especially when you're in a launch. You can use a new story, or you can retell an old story with a different angle. But it needs to be told in a particularly dramatic way. If you're going to be shy about it, it's not going to work. And in fact, I've been inspired by Ian to tell a very hard story for me. And after Ian shared that, I was inspired to tell a lot of stories that I haven't actually shared with my audience, which actually create a lot of bond with them. I shared one recently about how I had pretty much the biggest payday in my life, and I shared it with my parents, and I was kind of met with a, well, that's cool, like, all right, like, do this. And it's just, I just received all these projections, and when I shared that how the, walking this road of being an entrepreneur, building a business of any kind is a lonely road when you set high standards for yourself, because not everybody does set high standards for themselves, and you got to stand on that. You can't fold. So, stories, great way. Another great thing to help people with is some of the, people call it the what and not the how. So on this Facebook Live so far, I've told you a lot about the what and a little bit about the how. And the what is creating marketing pressure, and the how is stories, but I've only given you kind of one thing. So what I really wanted to get to with this is you only need, and this is the big point, to execute a launch if you don't already have market pressure built. But the thing is you can build market pressure literally continuously through new advertising methods. The new advertising method is, of course, putting out videos like this. People watch them, and when they watch them, they present themselves as qualified to see the offer for your product, which could be, or to take the next step in your sales process, really, which could be to watch a webinar, could be to schedule a call, could be to download a thing, could be to go directly to a checkout page and buy something like a book that then leads to the next thing. You're always selling the next thing in your sales process, not the thing, whenever you're doing this kind of marketing. So, constant market pressure. Facebook Lives, short Facebook Lives, all you do is hop on, help people out, make an offer in those Facebook Lives, call it an easy to remember URL. Sorry, I'm just making sure I don't hit anyone as I walk through here. And then people will organically go to that URL, and video views are cheaper than conversion ads. Not that conversion ads don't have their place. So, that's that. So when it comes to launch, there are a couple things that I'll do with my clients. Is if they already have an existing audience, we will simply put up a wait page. But I will only actually put up the wait page if people are already asking for the program. Because if we're going to do something like an evergreen webinar, where people just sign up and they can watch it instantly, and we know that the show rate from sign up to a live webinar is something around like 20%, whereas the show up rate for an instant play webinar is like at least 50, probably like 80 or more percent. And these are just numbers off the top of my head, but everybody sees the webinar when they sign up for it, and it's instant play, right? But we know that people that we just get their email and then we try to message them later, they don't show up. So I actually don't recommend, unless you already have a pre-built audience with a lot of people asking for it, to put up a waitlist page with a countdown for your event. Though countdowns are another good way to create market pressure. So skip that. And instead, what you want to do is to just start, again, doing these kinds of Facebook Lives, showing people that you can help them constantly. And it's very cheap to get in front of them with this kind of thing. It's very easy for you. And you can always just steal the audio and put this out to a podcast, put this on LinkedIn, put it on YouTube, and more people see it that way. So, where was I? Yes, market pressure. Okay, so whenever you're doing that, the only thing that you need to do from an advertising perspective as far as live launch dates is it doesn't matter if you don't have a live launch date. And the only things that need live launch dates are things that you're launching for if you want to have the big payday. And if you want to have the big payday, instead of making money consistently month per month. And that's the thing that I recommend, is if you're selling high ticket services, don't price it as, $10,000 for 6 months or whatever. Price it as $2,000, or, I guess it'd be $1,500-ish a month for X number of months. Because if you can pick up 2 to 3 clients a month, your income is going to build over time instead of you get these big hits, right? And if it's tempting when you have a lot of money to spend money quickly. So I think it's a overall safer way to do it. So, recap, and that is, if you're going to launch, I don't really recommend launching. I recommend constantly building market pressure through doing these Facebook Lives, constantly demonstrating to your audience that you can help them, retarget the people who watch those. The metric for that is at 25% is a good metric. Show them the offer, which could be for the next step in your sales process. Could be a book, checkout page, could be an evergreen webinar, could be or directly scheduling a call. And that's pretty much it. Tell the stories that you're afraid to tell. That will create a bond with your audience, and they'll be more likely to open your stuff and more likely to engage with it and feel that they are connected to you. Another way that you can create some market pressure is use countdowns for live programs. And the last thing that I forgot to mention, got a little distracted, was if you are doing live launches, and you have time-based stuff, then just turn off the ads where you mention those URLs or those dates, or turn them on based on that thing. So you create the content around the promotion and then just turn it off when you're done using it. Or you could even edit it and put, a black screen on the end with the URL, or subtitle it in or something. So that's the lesson for today. As always, if you know someone who could use this kind of help, you can share this Facebook Live with them. There's a little button, I think, in the bottom right. Comment, and I do reply to those comments. Man, I'm out of breath walking down the airport and back. And if you need help yourself, you can always head on over to mattwrightcall.com, schedule a free call with me, and I will see you guys there shortly. Peace.